I think this is the biggest book haul I've had this year. Hi everyone, my name is Julie. This is Keep Calm with Books and Coffee, and today I am going to be doing a book haul for you, and I am looking at the stack over here because I was very irresponsible and stress bought a lot of books in August. So we're going to jump right into it. Some of the earliest things that I bought this month were a set of Ilana Andrews books that I got off of Pango. So these are all Ilana Andrews books that I have read previously, but I didn't have copies of. So the first one is Burn for Me, which is the first in the Hidden Legacy series. This follows Nevada as she has these special abilities and she is able to tell truth from lie. But she has always hidden her ability and been a pretty basic PI detective with her family until she gets dragged into the spotlight by becoming a part of a really large investigation. This is a paranormal romance series. The first 3 books in the series follow Nevada, and then the second set of 3 follow her sister Catalina. So that's these 3 books. I read these all earlier this year and talked about them a lot because I really enjoyed them. I was super glad to get a set off of Pango because I had already read them and I really more likely will reread the audiobooks, but I did want them on my shelves. So I have these. I love Ilana Andrews, which I've talked about a lot before. I got these super cheap. From that same order on that Pango shop, there was 5 books in this series, which starts with Kiss of Steel, and these were also super cheap, and this is a series I have wanted to try for years. So it's a paranormal Victorian set historical paranormal fantasy romance series. I think it's a little bit of everything, and it's a brilliantly creative debut of vampires, werewolves, and clockwork creatures that roam the streets of London. So it sounds like Cassandra Clare's books as well as Gail Carriger's books, which I love all of them. So I decided to pick these up. I really don't know much more about them, but the 5 of them, I think each of these were like $1.50 on the shop, so I decided to pick them up. I also picked up Think of England by KJ Charles. This is another reread that I wanted to get on my physical TBR because it goes on and off of Scribd and I can't always get it from my library, but I do reread this one a lot. So I decided to pick up a physical copy. I love KJ Charles. I love her historical queer stories, and this one is just really, really fun. It's like espionage and murder. Everyone's at a Victorian house and then someone gets murdered and they have to figure out what's going on. It's fun. I like it. Then this gets confusing about when I picked up these books. So these, I'm not even sure what part of August this was where I bought these. The first one is Forged by Magic by Jenna Wolfhart. This is a cozy fantasy story about an elf and an orc, I believe. There is someone trapped in a tower and she's a half orc, and then an elf comes to save her, I believe. It sounds super cute. It was on a bunch of recommendation lists based on Legends and Lattes and the Very Secret Society of Improbable Witches, so I picked it up without even really knowing anything about it, which is very similar to A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon by Sarah Hawley. Do I really need anything more than this title and this cover? No. I'm really looking forward to reading both of these this fall. I don't really need to know more than the covers, titles, and the recommendation that they are cozy fantasy right now. I also have Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. We actually went to Philadelphia to see Acevedo at her event there. I wish I had some pictures of like just her at the event because it was really cool, but I have like my friends and other people in the pictures, so I don't want to show you that, but the event was great. She actually read a chapter of the book on stage as part of the gathering, presentation, tour stop, I guess is more what it is, and it was great. I loved listening to her read it. I've also picked this up on audio from Libro FM because I just love her voice and listening to her read. That's how I've read most of her books. In this is a family saga about a multi-generations, and I believe some of the sisters have gifts. I don't want to call them powers. They're like gifts and things that they can sense or do. And one sister can tell when someone is dying. So she throws herself a living wake and doesn't really explain why. And I believe this is the lead up to the wake and kind of also a history of the family from within it. This sounds really good. I'm really excited to read this. I didn't read this yet because I want to take my time with it and I just haven't had the chance, so I'm really hoping in September that I can do that. Then I have Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. This is the story of a sister who goes to help her sister with her abusive husband, and I believe it is magical and spooky. I've read one T. Kingfisher and I can't wait to read another, and I've heard good things about Nettle and Bone. Actually, I've heard mixed things. I've heard good and not so good. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm really excited to read more T. Kingfisher. Why do I keep not being able to say that today? Then we have the book that I picked up like solely on the physical book. When I was at the bookstore, this caught my eye. I had not heard that it was coming out. I had heard nothing about it. It is called Masters of Death by Olivia Blake, who is the author of The Atlas Six, of course. And when I picked it up and started to read the inside cover, this was also there, which made me buy it. I probably would have bought it without reading the description, but I believe this is about a vampire that needs to sell a haunted house, and then a medium who comes to help dispel the haunting. I think that's what's happening. But like I said, I haven't heard a lot about this one. I'm sure it's going to be popular because the author is so popular, but I haven't heard a lot of buzz about it yet, and I'm really excited for this. Don't worry, I still have more books. Next up is Electric Idol by Katie Robert. This is the second in the Neon Gods series. I read Neon Gods last month, and this has to do with Psyche? Yeah, Psyche and Eros. The first book was Hades and Persephone, and I just loved that to bits. Can't wait to reread it at some point. I immediately wanted to pick this up. These are steamy and fun, and I really like them, and I can't wait to read this one. Next up is The Siren Queen by Niveau, and honestly, I don't know a lot about this one. When I was participating in the Amazing Readathon, there was a host. Each host had 5 favorites listed as things you could get bonus points for if you read them, and one of the hosts, and I don't remember who, had 4 of the 5 books that they had listed were books that I personally absolutely love. So this was the last one on the list, so the next time I went to the bookstore, I picked it up without even reading the description. And I feel like that's the authentic experience, so I don't want to try to like tell you what it's about when I kind of want to go in blind, just knowing that this was recommended. Will I probably look up a description? Yes, at some point, but right now, that's why I bought it. Lots and lots of sequels in this haul. Next, I picked up A Perilous Undertaking by Deanna Raybourn. This is the second book in the Veronica Speedwell series. I picked this up after reading A Curious Beginning last month and really enjoying it. In that we are following Veronica Speedwell as her final guardian in her family passes away, and she teams up with a mysterious stranger in order to find out more about why she was possibly being robbed or kidnapped. But unfortunately, this mysterious stranger, after leaving her with another stranger, is murdered. And then the two of them go on the run in order to stay ahead of the law because they are suspected in his murder. It's fun. It's also a Victorian set with a kind of like grumpy, a very smart smart male lead who is grumpy. Good trope for me. And also Victorian set is one of my favorites. So, very interested to see where this goes. We solved the first book. Now I'm interested to see where we will go from there. Can't wait to read this one, probably soon. Then I have 2 romance books. The first is our Indie Book Club pick of the month, which is Knockout, a Hell's Bells novel by Sarah MacLean. I believe this is actually the 3rd book in the series, but they each follow different heroines, so apparently it doesn't matter which one we read. So this is the newest release, and I am excited to read this because everyone at book club was raving about it. I think it's about a plus-size heroine who doesn't really care about the rules of society, but now she's maybe falling in love. That's about all I know. Sorry, again, I don't really know much about my haul books before I read them. And then we have How to Find a Princess by Alyssa Cole. I like Alyssa Cole, and I have read a few from her. I picked this up sort of on a whim at the bookstore when I was stressed, along with a lot of other of these. So I believe this is a sapphic love story about a princess who is gonna find her true love. Right? That's what happens in romance. Then the last thing I have is The Jasad Heir, and this is by Sarah Hashem, and this is a Egyptian inspired fantasy story. It was the Illumicrate pick for their July box. I think it was July, maybe it was August. I don't think it was August, I think it was July. And this is absolutely stunning. I was really excited about the idea of a Egyptian inspired fantasy, so I got this one. It's just really pretty. So yeah, and I believe it's about a girl who's not part, like, has to take back her kingdom. Again, I got it because it sounded interesting in the teasers. I will find out more when I read it. I'm not very good at book hauls, is what I'm learning, because I don't read descriptions. I go off of like recommendations and vibes, and then I tell you more when I read the books. Anyway, that is the end. That's all the books that I bought. Hi. So I got more books and I want to add them to this book haul because I didn't post this yet and it's still September. So I'm gonna clear the slate before my birthday comes next week, and then I possibly get more books. So this is just adding to this enormous book haul. First thing, Sleep No More by Sean McGuire, which is book 17 in the Toby Day series. I read all of this series last year and I absolutely adore it. I have been anticipating this book coming all year, and in this we're following Toby, who is a woman who is half fae, half changeling, and she is a knight of the realm. She is a hero, and she is, you know, this figure who gets thrown a lot of weird problems in her world, which include the fae, and she has to try and solve them a lot. So we have had 17 books of her solving problems at this point, and I absolutely love it. It's super fun. The first few books are a little bit rough. I hate to tell you that, you know, you should read a few books to get to the really good part, but this series is like excellent after the first like 3 books, and I love it to bits. So I have already read this. It was excellent. I can't wait for the next installment. Then we have Wolf Willow Witch by Freydis Moon. This is the second in the Heart Haunt Havoc series. I think it's called the Gideon Files, according to Moon's Instagram. And in this, we are following up the first one. I think we're following characters we met in the first book and kind of doing a different investigation than we did in the first. These are novellas that are super impactful. They pack a big punch. I really loved the first one and I can't wait to get into this one. It's spooky and diverse and interesting, and it has a lot of really cool explorations for such a short book. So I'm really excited for this. And the cover of this one is super cool. So definitely excited to go into that one. Then we have A Nobleman's Guide to Seducing a Scoundrel by K.J. Charles. This is the sequel to a book I read earlier this year, which was The Secret Lives of Country Gentlemen. In this, we're following a character who, we're like flashing forward about 10 years from the first book, and we're following a character who was a teen in that book as an adult, and kind of what has played out in the swamp since we left our characters. I'm really excited for this. I kind of love the way KJ Charles shapes her stories. I absolutely love like 99% of her books, and I can't wait to read this one. I have been told by my booksellers that this is like something you can't put down. You'll want to read it right away, and I just haven't had time. So I'm gonna pick this up soon because I definitely want to read it. The last thing I have here is Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer, and this is the story of a person, Evie Sage, who becomes an assistant to the villain, who I think is hot and maybe not such a villain. I'm not sure. It sounds a little bit like Nimona, but like the fantasy science fiction version, but also a little darker than Nimona. Sounds really interesting. I can't wait to try it. And it has these really cool red sprayed edges. So like this book is definitely a cool one. And I had just seen it kind of bouncing around, and when I went to the bookstore, I decided to pick it up. So we will give it a shot. Then the last thing I have to show you is my Raven Cycle series that came in the mail recently. I was lucky enough to get one of the Fairy Loot versions of the Raven Cycle for the 10th anniversary, and I'm super excited that these have finally come. I've been waiting for them most of this year, and I am just thrilled that they're here. So this is the Raven Boys. This is really, really cool because these have a lot of different features that I can't wait to show you. First of all, each one comes with a reversible dust jacket, which like this has blue on it. And you can imagine that each one of the books has a different character on the inside, and then the foiling is what is absolutely gorgeous. Like the mirror here, this like tarot card type foiling is absolutely stunning on each book. I love it so much. And then I don't want to get into spoilers, so I'm not going to show you more than this one, but in this we also have end papers that are scenes from the book. So this happens in the first few chapters of the book. Can I show you the last one? No, because it's a spoiler. So these are absolutely gorgeous. The Dream Thieves is my favorite book in the series, and I love this so much. Having Ronan on the cover of this one is of course what we would have, and the foiling is gorgeous. So, and then we have Blue Lily, Lily Blue, and the Raven King. So these are stunning, gorgeous, absolutely beautiful. I am thrilled to have them. Also silver foiling, and then these are the spines. So if you didn't know, this is my absolute favorite series of all time, so I am pleased as punch that I have that set, and I keep staring at them. They are absolutely gorgeous. I love them. Anyway, that's my book haul for now. I'm sure there will be more eventually, but that's it for the moment. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to see me again, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you have any thoughts or feelings or want to share anything about the books that I talked about today, please let me know. If you have watched to the end of the video and you don't have anything that you want to talk about, just leave me a bird emoji of some type, and let me know what your favorite Raven Cycle book is, because I'd love to discuss it. But that involves talking, so just leave the bird if you don't feel, not the bird, but a bird. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm tired. It's after work and I am just like brain dead, and I just wanted to add these books to this book haul. Anyway, that's it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!